And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How are you today?
I'm really good, Rob. How are you?
I am absolutely brilliant.
Good. I am so glad to hear that.
Brilliant. I mean, not like in a smart way, but like in a British way. Oh, I'm fucking brilliant. It's great.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Brilliant. I was watching something on YouTube this morning before I went to work, and it was British slang. Oh, man. They got some good ones.
Really?
And like, yeah, some shit that's so off the wall and has nothing to do with like American. Like you couldn't even like they have one. They call each other like a tosser. And I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'll tell you what it is after we go off the air, because I can't even tell you what it is on here.
Oh my gosh. Write it on a piece of paper and show me.
So we are going to talk comfort zones and the pros and the cons of comfort zones, because I think, well, there's good and bad with them. I guess it all matters where you're standing, right?
Absolutely.
If you're good with comfort zones, I guess you're like, screw it, we're not changing. And if you're bad with them and you're maybe with somebody who isn't, it could be a bad thing. So,
Getcha.
but I did go to a website, because generally I'm doing pretty good about that whole researching type stuff, because I didn't get a producer to actually produce the show this time, so they're in another state working, so they couldn't get us help. But this one, I think it's kind of an interesting thing, because comfort zones can be the death of people and can rejuvenate people. And I think that those are both very positive things, mostly in today's day and age, where people are okay with sitting at home and being locked up and staying in a comfort zone that's literally killing you, instead of going outside and seeing the sun. Thankfully, we're at a kind of a different time. We're kind of getting past that bullshit where, you're walking around, and like so my flight out of where I live, I had to wear a mask. My flight home, I didn't.
That's so cool.
It changed in a week, which was so fucking awesome to get on an airplane. And now it's
back to you have to wear one.
I heard only in Los Angeles, though.
Really?
Like, yeah, like
so
you have to walk around the airport. So if you're getting on an airplane at LAX, these crazy surf Nazis make you wear a mask. Other airports in the area, like John Wayne or Ontario, you don't have to do shit.
Really?
Yeah. And like I was walking around Atlanta airport, and I would say 1% was wearing a mask. Okay. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody. No pilots, no airline people, nobody. Just a very small percentage. And I think a lot of the percentage was what you'd expect. Elderly people, people that should be wearing a mask, because you're obviously at a much higher risk of dying. So, and again, that would be your comfort zone. Like, it's okay to be in that comfort zone. But I did find one at the Walden University, which will be in the show notes, so you can go there and click the link. But it kind of goes over like different things about the pros and the cons. So I'll just kind of throw them out there. The pros of staying in your comfort zone, drawing on experience. It's you stay in it to be familiar, because activities, we perform tasks repeatedly. So like that is a good thing. Like, get up, do this, do that. That's a comfort zone. And I think that can be a very positive thing. Like, I get up in the morning, I go to the gym, I come home and do this, and then at night I brush my teeth and take my vitamins, or whatever your stupid thing is.
Right.
Being confident, that having some kind of thing, being in a comfort zone will get rid of anxiety, because it limits messing things up, because you have a certain way of doing things. And I think that that's cool. you minimize risk, and a lot of people that we live around would rather not take risks because life is easier when you don't. Maybe not as fun. You're less likely to do monster trucks, Sunday.
Do monster trucks in the AV. That was so much fun, by the way. I'd never done that before. And we sat pretty much right in front, well, maybe like 4 or 5 aisles back, where they had disabled seating. And I sat with my friend because she has a really bad back. And so we were up in the dust and we got to see really well. And the trucks parked right up in front of us. That was so much fun.
They're
never
loud,
did that before. Huh? Super loud.
Super. Like those are the things you go to. Again, taking you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And the way they do things, like they're right on the wall and you think, man, those stupid tires could go right over this little ramp here and
kill me.
Sit in my lap. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I've been to both. I went to a monster truck. I did. Before my son was born. So at least 20 years ago. And I was at Angel Stadium and it was like insanity, and they're loud. Like I didn't think they were that loud. So another pro of being in a comfort zone is rejuvenating, because if you somewhat come out of your comfort zone, when you come back, you feel better.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. And you kind of expend less energy with routine tasks. You don't feel like, oh, I'm doing all this shit and I'm, I guess, it's just easier when you do it every day. You don't feel like you're taking a lot out of yourself, which, kind of leads back to the cons of staying in a comfort zone, because, well,
pros and cons to everything.
Pros and cons. And we know that the cons of doing it have repercussions. Staying in a comfort zone, like, let's just say for shits and giggles, the 2 years you were locked up in COVID.
Yeah.
You got so used to it that it changed who you were as a human by staying in that comfort zone. And now you're just okay with not seeing people.
Right. That happens to a lot of people now. Well, that happened and they're living through it right now.
Yeah. People are still catching up, and it's okay. I hear your dog. We'll make it work. So
this is so
our
annoying.
Fans are just going to hear the dog.
It's not my dog. It's the neighbor's dog. They need to let it in.
Okay. So staying in your comfort zone, we're going to go with one that says holding back. Because if you stay in your comfort zone too long, it can make you complacent. Right.
Obviously.
Which makes sense. And I think what we were just kind of talking about, you get into a complacency and it's much easier to just stay in it, and it's super hard to get out of it. So
that's for sure.
Here's one of my favorites: no risk, no reward.
That's what we were talking about in our last episode. You don't know unless you try it and take a risk, And
if you don't take a risk, you'll never have reward. It's kind of a big deal. And I think that's, like this website says, it's an overused phrase, but for good reason. Because, you don't. By staying in your comfort zone. And I think this might be kind of like your thing. Only because of doing this show is not learning new skills. You're a great talker and you always have been, but doing it like this is a skill. And we're both difficult. Learning it.
Yeah,
it is for sure.
Because in school,
it shouldn't be taken lightly.
The shit out of everything, and
you did. Not could.
I did. I know
you did.
I ran classes. That's but it's the sense of for me, it's the repercussions of saying things where we're recorded now. And
sure.
My mom was one that said, if you don't want people talking shit to you about something that you said or did, don't leave evidence. And this is putting my life into evidence.
Here's an hour every week of evidence.
Yeah. So
for sure.
So and then you got to own everything that you say too. And
that's the harder part for sure.
Yeah.
I even think I take that and I'm pretty outgoing to say, fuck it, I don't care. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty open, but I do think a little bit more before I speak. But I mean, just think, we were in a class called communicators. Mm-hmm. that literally the whole function of that class was to learn to speak to one another.
And thankfully, to read body language and to be okay with yourself, how to hug, how to be honest. So we learned so many things.
I would love to have him on this podcast. Love to have him on, because he was such a good guy when it came to understanding that kind of human psyche because of who he was and being blind in one eye and having a birthmark and having all these different things. He was such a personality, and that took a lot. So obviously doing communicators was really good.
It definitely helped us be better people, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Without going, a step further, I owe a lot to him and then the people that were in that first class, because after that, once I burst that bubble, I was like, and I could fucking talk. Here's another one. And I think we were kind of talking, this kind of goes with no risk, no reward, but staying in your comfort zone is missing an opportunity to make your comfort zone bigger. And I think that could be, in my case, stretching your comfort zone is obviously taking risks, embracing something is uncomfortable, that you have doubt, and then succeeding in it. And I think maybe that's a little bit for you, where doing this podcast is something that, you think about and you're a little worried in the back, but we're succeeding, and regardless of how I look at it, and numbers aren't always succeeding.
I love that you're so the way you are with me. You're like, no, we're doing it. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep going. You don't ever say, yeah, Teen, you're really fucking up. Would you get it together? And I'm waiting for it. So if you give it to me, I'm not going to be butthurt, because I know it's coming, but I like that you're just like, no, we're not going to be perfect. We don't have it perfect, but here we are. Let's do it again.
Because I think that we both know that again, a comfort zone. We're not in one as much as we are. Right, because I think we are. There is part of this show that is very much a comfort zone, and very much needed for both of us. More than the fans probably will ever know. That there's certain parts of this that are so important for my daily therapy of knowing what I'm talking about and being able to say things that I can get off my chest, that people in the real world have no clue of what is really going on. And I think that's important. And it gets me out of that comfort zone.
It's also made us closer. So we've got somebody, if we need to bounce anything off, we're hitting the text button and sending it off to each other. And I think that right now it forges us to be, closer. And I think that's what we kind of need too.
Somebody for sure. I think that's
checking in and
super positive, actually, because it gives us a chance to talk about things on a much different level. And I think a lot of that has to do with, my life experiences of let's just say divorce, because obviously they're so many years apart. Mine's 13 years ago. So I'm very much over it. I mean, to the point where I'm looking to another relationship of a more serious, thing. And you're now going through it. So those are just things that you don't realize. And then, our love of silly shit, like going to Chi-Chi's and just bullshitting about whatever. And of course, I think, during this last 2 years with work, I never stopped working and you
couldn't do it at all.
Stopped, and your business is now just starting. Well, I mean, let's say, hopefully it's not gone per se, but definitely it's now starting to work itself back.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm starting to work myself back, which is making everything else kind of click into place.
Sure.
It's been
so let's kind of throw that out to like a comfort zone and kind of, bounce that off of what we're doing. Do you feel that you're getting closer to being in a more of a comfort zone of where you're at in life? Because I think that those are just as much, there's little subsets of comfort zones, right? There's your main comfort zone where, like me, I was okay for 15 years living in the valley where I lived with my ex-wife, and I didn't want to move and I didn't want to do things because I was comfortable. It's like, why fuck this up? Everything's going great. As soon as I started to get a divorce, I was like, boom, jumped out of town, moved to Vegas, did this, did that. But now I think over the last, where I lived before was great. It was very much a comfort zone, which is why I stayed there so long. Mm-hmm. I stayed there because it was so comfortable, and I had such a good roommate. She was like my little sister, and it was just a great place that I was at the time. But near the end, I thought it was also time to get out of that comfort zone for myself. Yeah. Because I was getting complacent, and it was time to just do something different. Do you feel you're there or you're on your way to that?
No.
So you're still very much,
so I'm still living at my dad's, and that is definitely not my house. I ran a house for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All the groceries, all the cleaning, all the cooking, all the animal stuff, all the errands running, anything that needed to be done. That's what I did. And I'm living back at my dad's where, it's like my stuff is in two places right now. So that's frustrating as hell. I don't know where I want to live. It looks like I might not be moving in to a place with my friend just because of things that she's going through as well. So I don't have a plan again. I'm back to not having a plan.
Right.
And then I found out the divorce is taking longer because of paperwork that he needs to have and he doesn't. And I'm pissed off and frustrated because I just want to start my own life. I don't know what that looks like yet. I don't even know. I've lived in the same place my whole life. And lately I'm like, do I want to live there? I never thought I'm like the 11th or the 12th generation born and raised here in the valley. Like we don't go anywhere. Now all of a sudden I'm like, God, do I want to be here? What is it that I really want? And I think I'm more confused, not confused. I just know that certain things are going to need to happen, and I don't know where that's going to take me. So no, I would like to feel like I was in a bit of a comfort zone, but not with any aspect of my life do I feel comfortable.
Right.
I'm safe, but not comfortable.
And I'll tell you that from the standpoint from me, that's the last thing I ever want to say. Because I asked somebody years ago, about something, and I was like, how is this relationship? And she said, it's safe. I was like, fuck, not I'm in love, not it's great, not this, it's safe. And I was like, and I don't want to put myself in that position of saying things are safe. I'd rather say, I'm good, I'm great, things are good, or I'm bad. And at least because to me, safe is a scary thing, because it's to me, safe is like I'm hanging on, and I don't want to hang on anymore. I would rather be able to go, yeah, I'm going shitty. Like it's shit right now. And at least I know I'm shit, and I need to take the ladder and get out of the fucking hole I'm in.
Yeah. I don't feel like I've ever been shit. I've been in a really low place. I've but I'm a realist with myself, with what's gone on in my life, with what goes on around me. And life is just not ever going to be easy, right? So I just look at it that way. It's a shit show, but I wouldn't say it's shit. Life, even at this point with everything sort of up in the air, has been a lot of fun. And not that I know what I'm doing, not that I know if I'm even doing the right thing. I have no idea, nor do I care. I'm just kind of grateful that I have my sense of humor. I could laugh at things and like see what happens next. I'm not afraid anymore because I know that I'm strong enough to handle anything that comes at me. I think I learned that about 10 years ago when I was going through that shit show of a life. But so I'm not afraid. I just would really like to have some direction. Do we have some direction, please?
I mean, I think that, like you said, you're not sure what you want to do or where you want to be at. I'm definitely there. As much as I love California, and I do, there's a lot of great things and great people. But I think I am ready to kind of, step out and move on and go somewhere else. I did 2 years in Vegas in 2009 during that shit show of the world. The world's not the greatest right now when it comes to money and everything, but I see me living somewhere else, a little slower pace, something that's a little, a little relaxing, a little more, I hate to say, a little more of a comfort zone. Because I think that there is something there, like I said, the pros and cons. That life, I think, at where I'm at in my age, it doesn't need to be like, I don't need to go fishing every day. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't mind a slower pace with different people. California people are a different breed. However you want to take that. So I look at it that way. My son is older. He'll be 20 this year. So I think looking towards my future and getting out of one comfort zone and getting into another may be a great thing. And we kind of talked about that as well off air with you about like, you don't know if you want to stay here. And I think there's a lot to that. And once everything falls into place with your divorce and all these little things, you're lucky you have a career that you can take anywhere.
Maybe changing that too.
Maybe, but I mean, you have something that you can always rely on. Yeah. And I think that there's something to that as well. Even if you did what you do now on the side, you got a chair in your house and people in town, wherever you live at, the local people come in and get a hair done in the house on the side of whatever you want to do. Yeah. And it's just, it's play money. But you have something to fall back on or something you can travel with to get your start. And I think that's a very positive thing. Even if you had to go, heaven forbid, cut at Supercuts or whatever the local town haircutting place is, at least you could make a living and get a life started to do whatever you'd want to do. Because you're never too old to learn something new and get something. So again, it's, I'm with you about that comfort zone of home, because the first thing I did when Vegas kind of ran out, I ran back home.
Yeah. See, if my home base was secured in a way that I wanted it to be, because trust and believe, I don't have to go anywhere. But it's, at my age, I want my own place, and I could have my own place, and I should have my own place and my own privacy and my own way of coming and going and doing my own thing. So, but yeah, nothing's really comfortable for me right now. So I'm looking forward to finding that in a place. I think that's going to be it'll be a cool little thing to have happen when it does.
And like I said, I had a great comfort zone for 8 years when I lived with my roommate. It was great. It was easy, and it was a comfort zone. I knew I could do this, go to work. I always had someone that I could talk to if I wanted to, and I could always escape to my room if I needed to.
Well, didn't you also say that being married was a comfort zone also?
Oh, yes. I mean, again,
I would say that was very true for me as well. It was very safe and taken care of where I was, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was much easier. I had 2 incomes. I had young daughters that were really fun to be with. My son was a newborn. There was a lot of really positive things. And I always felt that where we lived, right, was a great place. So why would I want to leave? I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. Yeah. All the shit I know is right around here. And I could drive through the streets. And I mean, my girls could tell you, I mean, you know how many times I was like, I used to live here. I used to go here. This is one of my favorite places. I mean, I took them to Chi-Chi's. I took them to get tacos. There's so many things that I
only lived 2 blocks from me.
Yeah. So
2 blocks.
I mean, so I can see that the comfort zones are so easy to get into and so hard to get out of. And
I do believe that part of life is okay to be comfort, and it should be. Sure. You need a place where you could rejuvenate yourself, where you could be safe, where you could feel secure, where you have your needs met and you could let your guard down. So I don't see all of comfort zones being a bad thing necessarily.
I totally agree. But I think that it's a yin and yang. Yeah. There has to be enough of that comfort zone and enough to want to kind of go outside of it. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, you can find yourself miserable in a comfort zone.
I get you.
If you go outside of it, you get the rejuvenation about going back in. And I think that, whether it's with a couple, if you're a couple and you're in it, you have that's where like people get stuck in a rut, right? This big round circle of a rut. And that's because neither of you go outside the comfort zone, because you go to work every day, you do this, you come home and take care of your kids, you kiss each other and go to sleep. It's not bad, but it's not the greatest. And that's where you make that. I have friends that are like, we date once a month, no matter what. Kid gets dropped off at grandparents' house, we go and have a date. And I think that's super important. And that's super important no matter how old your kids are. Mm-hmm. If you have teenage kids that you don't have to watch, you should definitely make that choice to have a date, make something happen. And that's with anything. If you're single and you have a child, let's say you're a younger mother and you have a 6-year-old at home, it's okay to go out with the girls. You call your parents.
Absolutely.
But you also have to understand within that is that you have a child to take care of. So you balance that with the yin and the yang. Mm-hmm. If you go out once a month and you have a good old time with your friends and then pick up your kid and you do your thing, that's great. And that's getting out of that rut or that comfort zone that's maybe hurting you. Mm-hmm. Because like I did it. Like when I got with my ex-wife, her daughters were 12 and 8. So, they were children still. It's not like we could just pack up and leave. A couple years later, now they're 14 and something and 12 or 14 and 10. We could leave the house and have a babysitter that would watch, her sister. And then the next couple of years, we'd have a 16-year-old to watch the newborn. So, but you have to be able to do that. And I think that no matter where you're at in life, whether you get with somebody who has an older kid, you have to make sure that they get out of a comfort zone of knowing they have to stay home with their kid all the time. Because I was definitely kind of a thing with that. Like I wouldn't do things because like my kid was my only priority. Now it's like I don't have that. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So there's days I come home and I see him in passing. He's in his room playing video games. I'm like, hey. He's like, hey. Yeah, okay. Do my shit. So, yeah, I mean, and again, I understand that. Like, what people have lives, and I think that's where we kind of go, where the comfort zone now is I'm okay moving on. Like I have to get out of the comfort zone of having to be dad every day. It's like I'll always be his dad, but he has to grow as a man. Mm-hmm. So if I move on and he decides to stay on in California or stay here, that's what he'll do. And he'll become a man doing that. And I'll move on and start the second phase of whatever my life is with a new comfort zone and a new way of life.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something like, someone like you where, don't feel trapped by your comfort zone. Because I'll tell you, Tina, I lived it, and it's not fun, because you realize it once you get out of it. Like, it took me about, once I got a divorce, I moved to Vegas. I'd say about 8 months into living in Vegas. And I just remember going, oh yeah, this is a new life. Like, realizing like, that's how I felt. Like, it was like this massive thing got off of me that wasn't even horribly bad, because me and my ex-wife's divorce wasn't bad. It really wasn't. Actually, it was quite good, considering everyone else I know who goes through these ballistic fucking wars when it comes to them.
I get you.
But I was in a comfort zone that I didn't realize was weighing me down like heavily.
So was it really a comfort zone, or was it just you could deal with the uncomfort of it?
I think it was a little of both. I think it was a comfort zone though, because I didn't think it was all that bad. Like, I was more shocked that I was getting a divorce than anything else.
Really?
So yeah. Oh yeah. Because I thought everything was okay. Because I was in a comfort zone. Yeah. But again, months later, you can step back and kind of look at the real ground of what was going on in life. And there was many more flags that said, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. And I think now, for the best, it was the best thing that could have happened. I've either met more people or done things that I have no regret over, and she's fine. I'm fine. My son is a well-functioning member of society. It's all good. But again, the last couple of years, definitely a little bit more out of my comfort zone. I'm not afraid to do anything now. Like I said, if something comes up, I'll pack up and I'll go across the country. I won't flinch. Is what it is. Because what the hell? It doesn't work. I'll find someplace else to go, or I'll do this, or I'll come back home, or whatever it is. I just kind of refuse to stay in that anymore. I'm, like we talked about on other shows over the last, months and months. I've had too many friends pass away really young. That literally stayed in a comfort zone. My one friend, Scott, who unfortunately, passed away. He was one of the greatest guys I ever met, but he stayed in a comfort zone. And I wish he wouldn't have, because he should have packed up his shit and moved across the country, and he probably would have been a much better off, but he was a great human being either way. But I learned a lot from his death, and more than people would probably think, because, we talked a lot because we worked together. And when he passed away, it definitely showed me I'm not going to stay stagnant anymore.
Right? You can't. There's just no reason for that. I mean, we're put on this earth to learn lessons, I believe. And if we're just putting them off, like, what's the point? My big thing is moving away. So my comfort zone is really being here, because this is the only place I truly know. And I know it so well, this whole place that I call home. I've got wired for sound. I got people, I got places, I got things that my life is good where I am right now with all that. But I always felt like, did I ever live where I really wanted to live? Am I doing something out of obligation? And so for me, I'm like, where do I want to live and what do I want to do? And, how is this going to work? And I keep threatening to go to Greece. And I told my dad, my brother, and my niece is just not digging it. She's like, oh, yeah, you're going to be able to take me to Magic Mountain when you're in Greece. So,
right. Yeah,
so she's not having any of that shit. She's not. And she's calling bullshit at every term. And it's making me out of obligation think about staying. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's not the way life is supposed to be. So correct. I'm struggling with that a lot because we are so close, she and I. And a lot of times I think that we both feel like we're all we have as far as like the girls. So it's hard. But then the other day she got really mad at my brother and she didn't want to go to summer school. Like she's a straight A student. She's like, what the hell do I need this shit for? And my brother's like, you need interaction. You need something to do. You need whatever. And she's like, no, I don't. I'm going to go to Greece with Thea. And I'm like, oh, finally, she's taking my side.
Yeah. Well, because now she sees the light.
Yeah.
She's like, I can get the fuck out of here. And even if it's for 3 months, I can bail.
And in that time, I could bring Thea back, too. I think that's what she's thinking.
Well, I definitely think, mostly in your case, it may be hard for you to live abroad because of the comfort zone you have here. But I think that
maybe not.
Maybe not. But a long trip couldn't hurt.
Yeah, there's that too.
You know what I mean? Where I work at right now, the person who is the president of my company is retiring. Mm-hmm. He's worked for the company 25 years. He's 39 years old.
Wait, say that again? He's worked there for
25 years. And he's 39. Yes. He'll be 40 in a week or so.
Ow. So since he was 14, 15 years old, he's
now, to be fair, he's the son of the owner.
Okay.
Or was the owner. They sold the company.
Okay.
But that's why. But he started in a warehouse. He worked his way up. He was never given anything.
Right.
But he was talking about, because I was like, dude, what are you going to do? And he goes, and they just last year bought a brand new house in Camarillo, big ass house. I go, so what are you going to do? He goes, I think we're going to move to Europe for a year.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, he goes, yeah, we want to go to Spain. Which is cool because my daughter, when she was in the military, went to Spain. She fucking loved it. And the cool part about Europe is, everything's a train ride away. Mm-hmm. So when my daughter was in Germany, she one day she woke. I was talking to her. She goes, "Yeah, I think we're gonna go to France this weekend."
What a trip!
Yeah, that's like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Vegas this weekend."
Right.
Or go to another country where they speak a totally different language.
Yeah.
So you can go to Spain and Germany and Poland and England and Ireland and Scotland and these are all, weekend trips. So
yeah, if you have a good
cool.
sense of direction, they're weekend trips, but we all know that I don't. So
well, no, you didn't. No, you can go to there and go, I need to go to England. They'll tell you you're going to get on this train and you're going to get off on this stop. And there's really good directions in those countries. Now, obviously, I think if you're going to go to Greece, you should probably go with someone that can put you in somewhat of the right direction. But I think that's a big deal as well. It's you only live once, Teen. If you want to get out of that comfort zone and Get on an airplane, go to Greece for a couple weeks. It doesn't have to be a month. It doesn't have to be a year. You can go there for a couple weeks, get your wits about you, sit outside, drink tea in another country, get on the train, go to Spain. I mean, you can go to Greece and then go to Barcelona. You know, it won't hurt. I think in your case with where you're at in life right now, it's time to break that comfort zone.
It totally is. It is. So, and I do know that, which is why I'm going, okay, a plan's not coming in, you know, it's not coming down. And I know why it's not coming down. First of all, I need to get through my divorce, which is taking its time. And then after that, I need to see what it looks like. You know, when I'm sitting there, you know, after it's all over and you're taking a step back and you look at the whole thing and you're like, holy fuck, this is where I'm at. I need to have that moment. I need to be like, okay, I'm here. And, you know, now what am I going to do with it? You know, but I would, if somebody said, let's go here, there, wherever for a month, I would definitely get on the plane and just do it, because that's kind of where the wind's blowing, you know what I mean? And I kind of want to just go with the wind a little bit.
I think what you're looking for is that moment of clarity.
Is there such a thing?
Yes. I think after divorce, there definitely is.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that you get them all the time. I truly don't. I think they're very selective. When you get a moment of clarity and you finally go, this is what I have to fucking do because I have to do it. They're there. After divorce, I think there is very much a moment of clarity, or at least there was for me. And I kind of think what you're talking about, I had that moment where it was just like, now what the fuck am I going to do? And then I stepped back and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and this.
I remember the first time that happened to me. I was in my dad's house and I was doing dishes and I could hear the news just blaring, and I had just gotten off the phone with the ex and I'm doing dishes, and I saw my reflection in the window, the kitchen window that was right in front of me. And I thought to myself, how the fuck did I get here?
Sure.
But it was a moment of clarity where I was like, look around, teen, this is it. This is where you're at right now. And I cried the whole time I was doing the dishes. And then when I was done, I went and took a shower because I had makeup all the way down my face and neck. And I got out of the shower and I laid down on my bed and I said, still not that bad. It's still not that bad, you know, so just lay down and start over again. But at that moment, the heaviness, I remember the lump in my throat. I remember the weight on my chest. I remember the sick nausea feeling in my stomach. And I was like, all right, okay, look around. You're okay. Like you haven't died yet. Like, again, I always use that as like the, you know, how to judge things. Like, okay, nobody's dead. So that means nothing's set in stone.
Yeah, that's your gauge.
Yeah, that's the gauge. You know, I remember when my mom died, I'm like, wow, this is really final. Like that's when I realized that it was a definite, you know, she's gone. It's definitely not coming back. So that can't be fixed. But I've known, you know, breakups and friendships that they come and they go like the tides do. And there is nothing set in stone until death. Like, that's the only thing I found that happens is death. That could stop it. Because I've seen you go back to friends that you dated back when we were in high school. I've seen you go back and have different relationships that you didn't think you'd have. I've done the same thing. I've seen people, you know, just they go all around the world to find the exact same thing that they left when they were here. There's so many different ways that this could happen, you know, and it's all scary, but if I keep it in perspective, I do fine.
Yes. And you know, to kind of tie this in at one big nice bow, this is all about comfort zones. You know, life is a comfort zone, and we have to
comfort in life is a comfort zone.
Exactly. And I think that we have to weave our way through those being comfortable and uncomfortable to continue to grow as a person, or to find whatever it is you're looking for in life. And look, I mean, I would love to be the person to go, oh, comfort zones are bullshit and you got to get out of them. But I lived in them because I was that person for such a long time.
I think everybody has to some degree.
Yeah. And it just happens that now I'm like, fuck it. It's time to just do whatever you want. And I think as people, you'll find yourself weaving in and out of these different zones of being super comfortable and being one that says, I can't be in this comfortable zone. I need to go walk outside of it and do something different to launch my life forward into something new. And I think you're definitely there.
You know, I'm doing okay, because I remember laying next to my ex and just feeling so incredibly lonely and not being able to do anything about it. Like, I couldn't fix it because I was married. I was sitting there. He wasn't going to fix it. He didn't want to either. We had kind of been at a stalemate for quite some time. And I remember thinking, God, this really is hard. This emptiness, this unable to be loved or supported, or you're just sitting here with somebody, but not really with somebody. And then like flash forward to the first night I spent at my dad's house, I cried myself to sleep, and I woke up going, I still didn't feel as lonely as I did when I was at home.
Yeah,
with my ex. So
I'll kind of go down that way. The last month in my house before my ex left, it was a very, very hollow and very humbling experience of I can't be here again.
Yeah.
So, and look at me, we're all out of comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
Or on our way.
Better things, whether they be a big shit show or something that benefits us for the rest of our lives. Here we go.
Exactly. And, hopefully our listeners will get something out of what we just talked about. Look, it's okay to be in a comfort zone, but you can't stay long. Got to make sure you weave in and out of those zones. And if you're looking for a different adventure, look, it's okay to jump. It's okay. Find something else. And, and again, no disclaimers or too bad. We're not doctors and we're not psychologists or whatever, but look, you have to find something in life that is going to make you happy. Whatever that is, you got to find it. So absolutely. Without a doubt. All right. You want to give them the dirt on where they can find this super duper cool show? I would like to. Yes, you could find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Outcast, Player FM, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Audibles, wherever you find your podcasts. Look us up at Don't Get This Twisted. You could reach our Facebook page at DGTTwisted, and you could also find us on Twitter and Instagram at DGTT. I'd like to say that we are now in 37 states. We are in 18 countries. We got 2 new places. We got Guam and Japan. So thank you guys for listening to us, and please continue to do so. Follow us, like, share. Please, we would like to get some more listeners. And if you have any sort of feedback that you would like to give us, please look us up on our socials, reach out to us, and we will get back to you. If you'd like to be on our podcast, reach out as well. Let us know what your topics are, and we could take it from there. For surely, sure. And we are also on YouTube. Man. Yes. I'm learning how to speak tonight as well. You'll be seeing some teasers for the actual podcast, so you can go, and there'll be some links down the bottom if you want to find us on everything Tina just said. Yeah, we're definitely trying to get this going. And again, share. Send these wonderful links to your friends and say, hey, listen to these crazy people. Yes. Anything else you'd like to say, Miss Tina? Thank you all for listening, and I can't wait to do another episode with you next week. Awesome. And as you know, this is a show on opinions, so don't get it twisted. Have fun, listen. Like I said, as I say always, even if you don't like the show, keep listening. I'm sure there's something that we'll get to you that you actually agree with us.
Maybe.
Until next Wednesday, I am Rob, along with my always the greatest Tina, my co-host. And I'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Good night, or good day, or wherever you're at. We'll talk to you next week.